On Friday, July 30, a Hong Kong man who rode his motorcycle into a group of police while carrying a protest flag was sentenced to 9 years jail. He's the first to be jailed under Hong Kong's new national security law, so Western media have understandably been frothing at the bit to paint Beijing in a negative light. Unfortunately for them though, it's not going to be easy to lie their way around the fact that this man drove his motorcycle into a group of police. Sorry, what's... Oh, they have? Okay, let's take a look. The New York Times have run with the headline, "Hong Kong protester is sentenced to 9 years in first security law case." The New York Times know that this headline is extremely misleading because it strongly implies that the man was simply jailed for protesting and leaves out a very important factor. He rammed a motorcycle into a group of police officers. Anyone who works in media knows that the headline is the most important part of a story, especially in this day and age when many people only get their news from quickly browsing headlines without reading much further for clarification. Anyone who did attempt to read further would find themselves up against a paywall where they'd need to have paid for a subscription to read on. New York Times, therefore, has even more of an obligation than completely free media outlets to provide accurate, fair and honest headlines, because they should know full well that many members of the public won't read further. A big fail here for New York Times. Those who do read on still won't find clarity and honesty until paragraph 2, and even then, the reporter utilises wordplay to minimise the dangerous actions of the man. Tong In Kit's potentially deadly actions that day are described as a collision, which is a word usually used to describe something accidental, such as this headline from NBC News about a recent trolley collision. The first paragraph is as misleading as the headline, referring to the man only as a protester. Now, let me stress this again. People consume news today very, very quickly, and hardly anyone reads past the headline and first paragraph. Professional news outlets know that and should therefore act honestly and morally by providing full and fair information in the headline and first paragraph. Since New York Times is a professional news outlet, it's clear that they're performing this kind of deception 100% purposefully. New York Times and other media are trying to convince their readers that Tong In Kit has been dealt with excessively under the new national security law, and that his case, being the first of its kind, is being used by Beijing to scare others. Author Austin Ramsey knows that's a bit of a stretch. That's why he mentions in the third paragraph that the collision with the police complicates any analysis of how the courts use the national security law to punish peaceful dissent. He's 100% right, but Western media are still purposefully trying to imply to the public, who they know mostly only consume headlines and first paragraphs to form their opinions, that this is an extreme sentence and shows how Beijing is clamping down. That's extremely dishonest. There's some interesting information buried near the end of the article. Austin Ramsey first mentions the 9-year sentence and then admits that Mr. Tong could have received 7 years for dangerous driving and 2 years for assaulting a police officer anyway, even without the national security law. The Wall Street Journal took the same approach as the New York Times, producing a dishonest and misleading headline to describe the motorcycle incident as a collision. The Wall Street Journal is also hidden behind a paywall, stopping casual browsers from attaining the full facts. Many more media will follow with this unfair reportage of this story, since even news agencies who should definitely know better, in this case the Associated Press, are supplying media around the world with misleading copy. This piece by Katie Tam and Janice Lowe in Hong Kong is very clearly biased, and again lists Mr. Tong as a mere protester. The first paragraph also offers no clarity, calling a man who rammed into police with a motorcycle a pro-democracy protester, instead of, well, a man who rammed a motorcycle into police during a protest. Since many news outlets around the world rely on agencies like the AP for their copy, the Associated Press has more of a responsibility than standalone news companies. It's clear here that the AP is intentionally misleading the public.